What's in a greeting when people meet? What do they say and what do they mean by what they say? There are some wonderful greetings tucked away in English literature that the English have enjoyed over the years. Perhaps Shakespeare is the best, from that wonderful Sonnet 18. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. It's just a coincidence I was looking at you when I said that, John. Or that fine farewell from Romeo and Juliet when the parting comes. Parting is such sweet sorrow. That was Shakespeare, and times have moved on. We English, we're an eccentric lot, and when it comes to greetings, we're as eccentric as anyone you can find. We learn about the weather, we drink bucketfuls of tea, we love pomp and ceremony, and we love our formal greetings. Deep in our hearts, we're formal people, the English. It's just the way we are. French may have great cuisine, and the Germans have fantastic efficiency, and the Italians know all about romance, but we know all about how to behave. One thing makes the English outstanding, and that is that we have good manners. And our manners are reflected in how we greet people. Now, I know we've had a few ups and downs with football hooligans and various other things over the years, but put those out of your mind. The fact is that the English know how to behave and how to greet. For example, when we've done something wrong, we say sorry, don't we? Bump into someone in the street, sorry. If someone says something that you didn't quite hear, sorry. Or if you're in the cinema and your seat happens to be in the middle row and you've got to go along, sorry. Sorry. If you live to the grand old age of 80, they say you'll have said sorry about 250,000 times. It's a fact, you might not want to believe it, but that's the truth. Sorry. We're famous for our stiff upper lip. Remember Stanley, the famous African explorer. Stanley went into the jungle in Africa 150 years ago to seek Dr. David Livingstone, who'd been lost for years and years. And poor Stanley, he suffered the most outrageous hardships and diseases and terrible things as porters deserted him. He was a wreck by the time he found Livingstone. But when he did, what did he say to him? Did he fall on his neck? Did he do something silly? No, he said, Dr. Livingstone, I presume. How very English, how very splendid. You see, we've always had this sense of reserve, this sense of doing the right thing, and being fussy how we greet people, and being even more fussy about how we part company with them. As history moved on, by the time Jane Austen was writing those wonderful novels in the late 18th century about Pride and Prejudice, all of the manners of the gentility of that time, then the standard greeting in polite society would have been, God be thanked for you, how do you do? Isn't that quaint? Isn't that lovely? On greeting a lady, men were advised to bow and to be respectful, never to scratch their backs in case the lady thought they were searching for a flea. On greeting a man, a woman was urged to be demure, curtsy, maintain a bashful silence, and be sure never to contradict anything that a man said. Those were the days. I know I'm on dangerous ground here, so we'll move on very quickly. But back in those genteel days of Jane Austen, people actually didn't say hello. It wasn't a form of greeting. No. God be with you, and how do you do were the expressions that were used. So hello was used as an expression of surprise. If something odd happened, if something unusual came along, people might say hello. For example, if you go down into the high street in Swindon tomorrow and walk up to someone and say, God be thanked for you, how do you do? They'll probably take a quick step back and say hello. You never know what's happening in Swindon. But by the 20th century, we've given up bowing and curtsying, apart from bowing and curtsying to royalty, of course, which persists to this day, and we'll see a lot more of it in the coronation. And that will be another statement of the English, the way the English behave, We love pomp and ceremony. We know how to get it right. We know how to greet a king. We know how to genuflect. We know how to curtsy. But these days, perhaps with a new king, we won't be doing it because, really, during the 20th century, curtsying went out of fashion. Handshakes became the fashion. We shook hands. Those days were pre-COVID, of course. People just bump elbows now, don't they? Handshakes are out of fashion. But in those days, people shook hands as a gesture of goodwill and openness and feeling a sense of belonging together. And handshakes could tell you a lot about people. If you've got a limp handshake, you might think, ooh, an unusual person, or perhaps somebody not to be trusted. Or if it was a violent handshake, you'd know you were dealing with a psychopath and it was time to stop. Handshakes were important. Much more important than curtsying and genuflecting and saying how you are. But people instead said, how do you do? How do you do? How are you? Or if you're a gruff Yorkshire person, you might say, how do? But they were all perfectly English greetings. Nice greetings. Things that people could believe in. And saying farewell has always been a delicate matter. Delicate to the English because it lays the ground for the next encounter. The next time that you will come together, that parting statement is something that will be remembered. In Jane Austen's time, everyone would have said, God be with you till we meet again. How nice. How sharing. God be with you till we meet again. Which just became shortened to goodbye. Luckily no tea and goodbye. But goodbye is not good enough for some people. Not these days. If you go around, what do you hear? Be good. Take care. See you. See you around. See you later. Whatever. Or if you're one of those posh people from the aristocracy of Sloane Square in London, you might well say, hugs, darling, which I've heard on the Underground. Yuck. Standards have slipped. But, well, it's technology. It's Twitter and all the rest of it, I suppose, that has changed the way that people perceive things. But it didn't start with Twitter. When Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, he proposed that the standard form of greeting universally should be ahoy there, ahoy there, which I suppose is slightly better than hello sailor, but only just, and luckily it never caught on. So listen to people in a coffee shop greeting each other and they may say all sorts of things. Things have gone downhill, but the London Street Guide, the street slang, which I have in this London Visitor's Guide, says that a typical streetwise greeting now is, hey bro, you looking good in them low batties hanging off your crackers. Showing some cloth and tweaking it cool. And this translates as, good day my dear friend. Those trousers that are hanging dangerously low on your backside are showing off your Calvin Klein underpants to perfection. Please accept my congratulations on your keen sense of fashion. I think I'll stick to hello. Goodbye.